Hi guys, welcome back to Scarlet Hollow. Last time we ended off with episode 1, which was an accomplishment in its own. So today we're going to start with episode 2, which I am also looking forward to. It's been a while, so let's get into it. Okay, a little bit of history. And it says this is the end of episode 1. Episode 2 is awaits. Okay. So what do now? Let's continue. I don't think we need to have a recap. We've played it very recently. So that will be a no. You open your eyes. The sun has risen, the birds are singing, you are still alive, and for now, you are safe. Your gaze wanders across the room, into the window and the woods beyond. You wonder if the monsters are lurking there, right now, just beyond the trees, ready to pounce as soon as you leave the crumbling estate. A familiar unease settles into your gut, tangling into a knot of anxiety, reeling as the events of last night play out in your head. You can't help but remember Duke, slumped against a tree, pieces of him scattered across the clearing. You're not sure if you'll ever feel okay again after what you've seen, but you can't stay in bed forever. Hunger pulls you from the clammy depths of the mattress. Don't need that right now. Let's check on Dustin. You open the drawers to check in on Dustin. Oh goody, he's still here. Human is back. I see you have bread now. Yes, Dustin found the bread. Dustin also ate a bug last night. Good night for Dustin. Can I talk to you about something horrible that happened last night? A human can always talk to Dustin. What happened? The woods are full of big scary monsters. Dustin understood. The world is full of big scaries. When Dustin gets scared, Dustin pretend to be dead. Good advice for human, maybe. It was nice to catch up with you, Dustin. I'll leave you be. Okay. Cute, furry creature. You gently close the drawer. You creep towards the window, carefully not to be seen by whatever might be lurking in the garden. For a second you thought you saw movement. It could have been an animal, it could have been something else. Wherever it was, it's gone now. Maybe you'll head out to there and investigate after you've finished waking up. Great, the doll didn't move during the night. Well, I hope not. Maybe it isn't haunted after all. Though after everything you've went through yesterday, that's hardly a consolation. You turn your back to the rest of the room. Time to start your day. From back in the kitchen, front her eyes you from her favorite spot on the counter. Her pupils dilate and her tail twitches. I see you are still here. How unfortunate. Do you know anything about ditchlings? Even if I did, why would I ever tell you anything? Fair enough. And for the record, no, I don't. Now stop bothering me. Have you noticed anything weird around here? We ran into those horrible things in the woods last night and... Silence. Do you know what time it is? Quite awful little mouth. Your voice is the only horrible thing I have witnessed as of late. Hey. Did you know the police called me this morning? You've only been here one day and you've already had a run-in with the cops? Yeah, I don't know if I should tell her about that yet. We were chased through the woods by a monster and you're worried about the cops? Yeah, I'm worried about the cops. I'm busy and I don't like talking to them. Did they say anything about Duke? Did they find the body? Body? They didn't say anything about a body, but apparently he never went home last night. And I had quite a few questions about you, Kyron. Before you ask, don't worry. I told them that you're an upstanding citizen. Can I hang out with you today? At the mines? No. I've got to get to work. But just stay out of trouble today, alright? I'll try to be back by sunset, and I expect you to be here. I don't want to hear any complaints, just do what I ask, and we won't have any more problems. Tabitha takes a few steps towards the door. Sunset. Okay. Your cousin huffily exits the kitchen. Her footsteps fade down the hall, ending in the characteristic creak, then slam of the front door as it opens and closes behind her. Once again, you are the only human in this state. It seems you make a habit of bad first impressions, no? The cat chuckles mockingly. Time to start your day. Let's investigate the garden today. As your eyes wander from the garden door, you shudder, remembering the brief glimpse of something you saw from the upstairs window. It was probably just a raccoon, but the uncertainty of what you saw gnaws at you and compels you to investigate, if only to prove that it was nothing. At the very least, you don't see anything now. You wander further into the garden, trying to pinpoint the spot where the thing has been lurking, if indeed there had been a thing to begin with. The garden is peaceful, but undeniably eerie. Here, more than anywhere else, you're surrounded by the ghost of what this place used to be. The greenhouse sits in the midst of the overwhelming greenery, unreachable from years of neglect glass clouded and cracked. Statues reach out from within seas of weeds, as if begging to be rescued. And most strikingly, behind a pair of rusted metal gates at the very peak of the mountain sits a graveyard. You can just make out a few headstones, the scarlet name carved deep and proud into their faces. You notice what a good view someone would have of your window if they stood where you stand right now. That's true. You crouch down, pushing aside the greenery to examine the soft earth. A boot print. A big boot print. And what looks like some kind of viscera? Is that blood? I wonder. Your thoughts turn to the spectre from the night before. You snap a quick photo just in case it comes in handy later. Probably somebody is watching us. With that, you head back inside. Time to go figure out what to do with the rest of your day. The weather isn't here to stop you now. You head outside back to the mountain path that leads you to town. No, I don't want to stay there. The walk back to town is much less pleasant today than it was yesterday, when you didn't yet know what the woods were full of monsters and strange men who know your name. You stare anxiously into the darkness between the trees, searching for any signs of movement, but the woods are still, at least for now. The autumn-tinged mountains sprawled for miles in every direction. Now feel less beautiful scenery and more like the walls of a cage. Almost back to town. You make it to town in one piece. No creatures jumped out at you, no scary men blocked your path. The sight of other people is comforting, helping you forget the things you witnessed as if they happened to someone else. Oh, hey, Karen. We were just talking about you. I stopped by Sybil's to pick up her new tea blend, and well, you're the biggest thing to come into town since the coal mine. Folks have been absolutely buzzing about you. You went out with Stella last night, right? Did something happen out there? She barely even waved when she walked by. What happened last night was traumatizing. I don't think I'm ready to talk about it yet. Okay, I get it. Sounds like you've been shaken up pretty bad. I'll tell you what, I'm on a break for the next half an hour. Why don't you swing by the diner if you want to decompress? Winnie can fix you some of Sybil's new blend. Maybe it'll calm you down a bit. I think you'll like it today's mix. It's chagra and lemon balm. Should help ease your stress and tension. And if you feel like talking, I'll be all ears. But no pressure. Anyways, it's up to you. See you around, Kyron. See you, Sybil. Take care now, Avery. I see you're a private person. I can respect that. You never know how someone might respond to hearing the truth of what you encountered last night. I'd better get back to it myself. I'm glad I was able to catch you this morning, if only to see how you were holding up. Please don't hesitate to stop by if I can be of any help. Why doesn't anyone in this town seem to know or care that a man died? This town has had a hard run of things, Kyron. People here lead difficult lives. Their pasts are full of death. No one in Scarlet Hollow is a stranger to it. Kanika and Miles lost their father, not but a few years ago. We've all just had to learn how to live with it in our own ways. As for your encounter with the police, people tell a lot of stories up in the hills, especially city folk, who wouldn't know a bear from a from a Bigfoot. No offense, of course. But I'm afraid that means most folks aren't going to take your claim very seriously. At least not until they see what they saw, what you saw with their own eyes. Be gentle with them, Kyron. I'm so sorry to cut our conversation short, but I've got things that need to get tended to. Stay safe and God bless. And with that, you're alone on Main Street. What to do with the rest of your morning? I want to visit the library at some point, but let's do maybe the general store. We haven't been there, I think. This is your first time seeing the general store in the light of day. As a young man sits in the table bar and register, too preoccupied with his phone to care that you stepped in. Where's Kanika? Not here. Hi, I'm Kyron. I just got into town yesterday. Yeah, I know. My mom told me. Who's your mom? What's your name? Miles. So that's Miles. See you, Miles. Miles doesn't respond as you turn to leave the general store. Clearly he is in a desperate need of some conversations, but in any case. Let's head to the library. Ooh. You enter the former town hall. What once must have been a safe, stately foyer has since been converted into rows of shelves. Meeting rooms and offices long ago gave way to assorted reference collections and reading areas. Oh, hey! You head over to Stella's table and settle in. Fancy seeing you here. We're trying to research the creatures we ran into last night if you want to join. Sybil and she was waiting for you to get into town, so I assume you're all caught up on the ditchling stuff? Welcome back to our little team, Kyron. Did you send my regards to that foul feline? Sorry, Gretchen, I didn't get the chance to tell Frau apart last night. A slight misfortune, but entirely washed away by the joy of your renewed company. Did you just try to talk to Gretchen about Tabitha's cat? It's not the first time. She talked to Gretchen yesterday and said some wildly insightful stuff. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you can actually talk to animals. One paranormal mystery at a time, please. Morning, Kyron. You look tired. My goodness, whatever happened to common decency? You can't go around telling someone they look unwell. You look marvelous, Kyron. Yeah, it was pretty hard falling asleep last night, all things considered. With all of those dreadful creatures in every nook and corner, it's a wonder you got even a wink. I can't say I got a wink myself. Yeah, same. Anyways, I guess we should get started. Before you dig in, you remember the boot print you found in the garden? Hey, before we dig in, I found something in the garden this morning. You hold your phone and show Kanika and Stella the photo you took in the garden. These prints were in the bushes with a clear line of sight to my window. Damn, that's creepy. Are you okay? What is that liquid around it? It looks like pus. I can't say I'm thrilled at the thought of someone watching my room. No kidding. Maybe you'll be safe if you don't stay at the estate. Do you think it could be that creep we saw outside the general store last night? He knew your name, and those boot prints match up with the mining get-up. Wow, apparently I missed a lot last night, huh? You're not talking about Wayne, are you? That guy keeps coming to my mom's tea room. I think there's something really wrong with him. Yeah, we are. I wonder if there's any connection between that guy and what happened in the woods last night. Like what? I mean, I don't have anything specific, but to have that whole prophecy of impending doom angle to explore, and this photo is weird. I can't stop thinking about those platters in the ground, and whoever left those prints is sick. Maybe it's from the creatures you encountered. Hey there, strangers! And literal stranger. Hey, I'm Kyron, Tabitha's cousin. I'm in town for the funeral. Oh, I should have known you were Scarlet. Hey, Scarlet, you look so much like Vivian. Not that I knew her very well. I was still a little kid when she left. But that Scarlet resemblance is strong. I'm Oscar Goodsirith, that I'm gonna butcher, Goodsirith, Chief Librarian and only librarian. Oscar's amazing. He practically built this library from scratch. Yeah, I'm a little jealous of what these kids around here get to grow up with. They don't know how good they have it. Back when I was in elementary school, all the library had was a couple of shelves of boring books donated by old people. Yeah, too kind. But speaking of kids, have either of you seen Rosalina around town? I don't want to be a helicopter dad, but she hasn't been answering my texts, and I wanted to make sure she isn't getting into trouble out there. You know the crowd she hangs around with. They're good kids at heart. I'm sure they're just up to old Maxwell Place doing teen stuff. I went up there plenty of times in my day, but I'll be sure to keep my eyes peeled. What's the old Maxwell Place? The great old abandoned spot, and it's practically a magnet for young people. Even honors students aren't free from its call. I can't believe I used to be so reckless. The floors there were like Swiss cheese. I should have really talked with Rosalina when she gets home. I'm sure she's fine. You might not want to let her run off like that anymore, though. It's not safe at this usually around here. Is that so? Kanika's right. There's some weird stuff going on out in the woods. There's actually why we came in today. Have you ever heard of creatures called ditchlings? They apparently show up around places on the brink of disaster, and they kind of look like if the Pillsbury Doughboy was a creepypasta. Kanika's mom told us about them last night after seeing some footage we got in the woods. Ditchlings? Doesn't ring a bell. Dang, worth a shot. Okay, if you were to say trying to predict a horrible disaster that might befall our town, where would you start looking? Well, they say history repeats itself, so I'd probably try and figure out what sort of disaster this region typically falls prey to. Should I be worried about something? I don't know yet. I'll be right back. Gonna go nab some more books. Behave while I'm gone, Gretchen. Oh, you don't have to worry about her, Stella. You're such a good dog, aren't you, Gretchen? Here, have a biscuit, old gal. Well, ain't you the sweetest thing on two legs? Gretchen inhales the soft biscuit, Drew licking from her toothless mouth as she swallows it whole. Okay then, she's probably an old girl. I'm pretty sure Stella's barking up the wrong tree, Oscar. I don't think you have to worry about any horrible calamity befalling the town. But she's right about the weird stuff. There's definitely something unusual going on in those woods. Whatever's out there in the woods has been brutalizing the local wildlife. I don't think it's safe. I'm gonna try calling Rosalina again. I'm sure she'll be fine, really. Rosalina's a smart kid, and she knows better than to go around getting into trouble. And well, make sure to keep her eyes peeled. Kyron, if you see a 13-year-old girl with black braid and glasses, would you let her know that her dad is worried about her? Oscar anxiously wanders off, phone in hand. Got him! Just grabbed a whole mess of local history books. Stella sets a massive pile of books on the table and pulls up a chair. All right. It's gonna be so much faster with the two of you here to help out. Got our snacks, got our books. Let's get this research party started. Reading awaits. A few entries catch your eye. Well, I can be honest, I have actually read up on some of these myself in real life. So I do know of a lot of these. One biscuit. Tommy knockers? Do you think the game is self-aware of some of the Easter eggs they put in here? Let's do this one. I haven't read this one before. The Hopkinsville Goblins case are supposed to close an encounter with extraterrestrials in the 1950s near Hopkinsville, Kentucky. During this incident, 5 adults and 7 children arrived at the local police station claiming that a group of small chrome creatures had besieged their farmhouse for hours. When police arrived at the scene, they found bullet holes and spent shells, but little else in the way of evidence. Skeptics suggest the family had simply misidentified a group of great horned owls. But they weren't flying. Even so, the incident remains one of the most thoroughly corroborated and documented cases of extraterrestrial contact. Now let's start from the top, see what other cryptids we can learn a bit more about. The Mothman is a large flying creature generally described as humanoid with glowing red eyes. It was first spotted by a couple in West Virginia in the mid-1960s and was encountered in the region several more times in the following years. The Silver Bridge collapse of 1967 has been linked to the series of the Mothman sightings, and it's said the presence of the creature served as some sort of omen or was a catalyst that led to this disaster. More the disaster-inducing cryptids. This has since become an important aspect of the Mothman, with sightings of the cryptid often taken as a sign that some great misfortune is soon to follow. To the Pine Barrens, the place where the creatures are said to have been born, as far as from the Appalachian wilderness, sightings of the Jersey Devil has been documented throughout the forests of the eastern United States. According to popular legend, the Jersey Devil was born to a woman named Jane Leeds. Leeds, upon realizing she was pregnant with her 13th child and daunted by the task of giving birth yet again cursed the child within her womb, proclaiming it would be the devil itself. Interesting that it would be a 13th child as well. Though born as a normal child, it quickly transformed, gaining a goat or horse's head, large bat wings, and a forked devil's tail. Kicking at the family and lashing out with its tail, it flew up to the chimney and out into the night, disappearing into the pine barrens. The Jersey Devil is one of the oldest cryptids in North America history, with sightings spanning back through the 1800s all the way to the origin of the myth in the late 1700s. It's said to move with incredible speed and recognizable by its high-pitched, blood-curdling scream. I wonder if that might not be what we were looking for. It looks very similar. It's safe to say that life was hard in the South after the Civil War. The land and its people had been ravaged by conflict, and many turned up to unusual industries to get by. One such industry was the ginseng diggers, or sand diggers, as they were colloquially known, who eked out a meager living for themselves by digging up and selling wild American ginseng. Myths surrounding the sand diggers were plentiful, but most prominent among them was that of the ginseng baby. It was said that if you dig up a ginseng root on the night of the new moon, it will cry like an infant and leave blood in the earth when it's torn free. The parallel to European mandrake myths are clear, and it can be assumed this myth arose from cross-pollination from European immigrants. But perhaps on the night of the new moon, you should go out and dig up ginseng roots. See if it cries and check the earth for its blood. For it could be that the myth spread not through legends passed down through immigrant families, but from the unsettling experience of those Appalachian foragers. One of the most famous hauntings in North America history is the Bell Witch, was a strange entity that plagued the citizens of the Red River region of Tennessee in the early 1800s. Many strange phenomena has been attributed to the witch through the years, but the most famous was the haunting of the Bell family. It started out as a fairly typical haunting, with unnatural sounds echoing through the house after sundown, and the appearance of the strange mammal that no one could identify or capture. Unlike other hauntings, though, these acts quickly escalated to attacks on the family, and in particular the daughter, Elizabeth Bell. She was constantly covered in bruises from the spirit's abuse. The spirits could frequently be heard speaking through the walls, its disembodied voice mocking the family and any visitors. It eventually escalated to giving full-blown hallucinations to those dwelling in the Bell house. Though this haunting ended in the early 1800s, its activity continued in the region for many decades. It could be that the entity known as the Bell Witch may still dwell in the Red River region to this day. Well, that can be scary. Often linked to Cherokee legends, some cite the Wampus Cat as originating with the story of a woman who sought vengeance against a monstrous cat demon for driving her husband mad. She hunted it down, and by wearing a bobcat mask, tricked it into using its own vile magic on itself, freeing the people of the region from its evil. Others say the creature comes from the story of a woman who wore the pelt of a wildcat to witness forbidden hunting rites. The hunters of her village gathered up to perform the rites, and she watched in secret from underneath the cat's pelt, but was soon discovered. For her indiscretion, she was fused with the pelt and transformed into a creature that was neither human nor cat, forced to wander the wilderness alone, feared by all. Her calls are those of great sadness and serve as a warning to anyone who dares to go against tradition. Tommyknockers originated in Cornish mythology, spreading to the United States when Cornish immigrants began working the Appalachian mines. Their name for the knocking that can be heard from seemingly within the walls before a cave-in. According to some of the knocking serves as a benevolent warning, others believe that the creatures take stolen hammers to the supports of mines and collapse them on whoever is unfortunate enough to still be inside. They are traditionally thought of to be impish, leprechaun-like beings, but some claim they are the spirits of dead miners forever cursed to haunt their final resting place. There was a hunter who lived in a tiny cabin in the middle of the woods, all alone with his hunting dog. One night after a particularly bad week of hunting, both the stomachs empty, the hunter spied something out of the corner of his eye. Some small creature had gotten into the cabin through a hole, and before he could even figure out what it was, he'd drawn the gun and fired the thing, his hunger guiding his actions. But it was quick and ran back through the hidey hole and out of sight, leaving only its long black tail shot off by the hunter's rifle. Guess this'll have to do, he said to his dog, and threw the tail in the pot to cook a soup. He and the dog ate well that night, the tail filling them both up. The hunter crawled into bed satisfied, and his dog curled up at his feet. He woke up to the sound of long nails scrabbling across wood. His dog was nowhere in sight, only a rumpled spot on the covers where he'd been, and in the gloom he saw two big yellow eyes staring right at him. "I want my tail apple," a hoarse voice croaked from the darkness. "Go away," he screamed at the thing. But it stepped closer to him, still shrouded in darkness. The sound of long claws dragging across the hardwood accompanying its movements. "I want my tail apple," the creature growled again. "I'll get my dog after you," the hunter squeaked, his voice catching in his throat with fear, but there was no dog to be seen. "I want my tail apple." Before the hunter could as much scream, the creature leapt from the darkness, long claws stretched out towards the hunter. No one is sure what the creature did to him that night, but the next morning all that remained of the hunter, his dog and his cabin, was a chimney standing alone in the woods. Okay, safe to say they might not have made it. You close the book and put it back. Oh, there's quite a lot to read. Let's do this part a bit. Forced into retirement at age 50 due to a war injury from his time in the Indian Wars, exacerbated by his short stint serving as a captain in the Confederacy, Silas Scarlet also lost his eldest two sons to that bloodiest of wars, leaving his third eldest son, Andrew Jackson Scarlet, to take charge of the mine. Under the leadership of the mine prospector, undoubtedly in part due to the growth of the railroad industry, managed to evade the coal union for decades, making them one of the most profitable mines in the country. Andrew Scarlet built the surrounding town into what is today, with expensive stone buildings, a bustling main street, and overseeing it all, an elegant Scarlet estate that was, until 1895, the largest and finest feat of architecture in the region. Accumulating in the tragic collapse of 1918, it was found that Charles Shaw, the co-manager of the mine, had loosened security measures to increase production during World War I, resulting in a fatal collapse and the deaths of over 160 men and boys, some as young as 10. Wow. But then again, back then, there were young children who actually worked in mines. The casualties included Andrew Jackson Scarlet's son Theodore, his brother Enoch, the fifth Scarlet, who had taken over for their aging father during the bustle of the war, managed to pull the mine from the brink of ruin, thereby saving the town. So this is how your family made its fortune. Some family history, yes. Historical buildings of Scarlet Hollow. Just the thought of reading this book like this would probably put most people to sleep. But you have got a mysteries to solve, and to solve it, you need to know everything there is to know about this town. Let's start at the top. The Scarlet Estate, arguably the most striking piece of architecture in Scarlet Hollow, and the most elaborate and elegant estate in the region prior to the construction of the Baltimore in 1895. Andrew Jackson Scarlet chose the location to be atop a hill in Scarlet Hollow's geographic center so that it might be seen from the town below. It remains a constant reminder to the family who carved Scarlet Hollow from the wilderness and provided wealth and prosperity to its residents. First used as a field hospital during the Civil War, it was named for Celia Scarlet's eldest son, who perished in the bloody conflict. It still stands at the end of what is now a residential district of Scarlet Hollow and has been served the healthy of the community for over 100 years. In the late 1800s, as the town prospered for a coal boom, additions were built onto the house and it was transformed into a sanatorium, bringing its prestigious clientele from around the world. They believed the fresh mountain air would do them well, and Scarlet Hollow became a tourist destination for patients of all afflictions. The clinic still operates to this day as a doctor office and stands as a building of cultural significance. The original mining facility is no longer standing, having been destroyed in the collapse of 1918. Though the new facility, outfitted with all the cutting-edge technologies of the industry, is in itself a fine example of practical construction, the first interiorization of the mining camp was a true product of its time. With a few photographs exist or an interesting peek back into a different era. One can still visit the site of the original Scarlet coal mine, though all of the remains are in a few abandoned tunnels, closed off to the public. Situated on the edge of Scarlet Hollow's farmlands, the Tremine homestead was one of the earliest settlements in Scarlet Hollow, predating even the town's famous coal mines. For many decades, the Tremine family maintained the largest farm in Scarlet Hollow, but a break in the family led them to split the land in two and the homestead along with it. Despite the many changes made to the two halves of the Tremine homestead in the subsequent decades, the original log structures are still visible and maintained to this day. They are undoubtedly the oldest buildings left standing in Scarlet Hollow. Wow. One of the first buildings constructed by the Scarlet family, the Scarlet Hollow's First Baptist Church, still sits in its original foundation, though the building was reconstructed to accommodate the influx of citizens during the Scarlet Hollow coal boom of the late 1800s. Attendance has dwindled since the infamous mine collapse in 1918, and while the building may have fallen into disrepair, its simple vaulted ceilings still evoke awe to any who enter. Celia Scarlet personally funded the town hall's construction at the first municipal building in the then small community of Scarlet Hollow. It has stood at the end of Main Street since before the Civil War, its white-columned edifice withstanding the ravages of the 1860s and continuing to stand to this day, a stunning piece of antebellum architecture. After the town of Scarlet Hollow switched to a dark mayor system of governance in the 1920s, the building has been put to different use, though the upstairs still house the town archives and a special ceremonial service for events with the mayor. So the mayor of Scarlet Hollow is a dog. I wouldn't mind that. Silas Everett Scarlet was born to Colonel Everett J. Scarlet in 1818, one of 12 siblings. He grew up in eastern Northern Carolina during a tumultuous time in the state's history, and not much is known about his life before he joined the army in 1836. He quickly rose through the ranks, in part due to his father's connections, but also due to a particular ruthlessness for which he received the nickname Bloody Silas Scarlet. The federal government granted the now Captain Silas a tract of bounty land in exchange for the service in the Indian War, and they settled into the hills of North Carolina in 1841. The land would become Scarlet Hollow. That land would become Scarlet Hollow. But it started as a simple log cabin built by Silas' own two hands, occupied by his family of 10, Silas, his wife, Mary Joseph Scarlet, and their 8 children. Logging business brought many workers and fellow landowners to the hills, but it wasn't until Silas discovered rich seams of coal running underneath the entire region that Scarlet Hollow was really put on the map. He saved what he could and bought the surrounding hills at a great discount, cleverly hiding what he knew about the land's true value. Thus he had all the resources to found Scarlet Hollow's now famous gold mine. Sure. What a read. I think I'm all done. Let's check in. Alright, if we're going to with what Kanika's mom told us last night, I think we can rule out any natural disasters of what brought the ditchlings here. But not nuclear incidents. Look at our state has a history with those. What about y'all? Find anything? Before you can respond, a handsome black cat leaps onto the table. Almost on instinct, Stella slams the book shut. Oh, hey Pixel. You might want to close your book. He loves to rip up any paper he finds. Pixel, my dear friend, it's been too long. How have you been? Hungry? Did Stella bring the good stuff? Don't worry, little guy. I didn't forget your treats. Oh yeah, snack time. Crunch, crunch. Sorry it's Pixels bothering you all. Hopefully he hasn't gobbled up any of our books. He can't stand those thought of the people might pay attention to anything that isn't him. Hey Pixel, what do you think about the monsters we saw in the woods? I'm an indoor cat. I don't know nothing about no woods. I just hang out in the library, especially now that our house got haunted. Wait, your house is haunted? What? How'd you know? What? Pixel told me. So we're gonna scare these people away. Karen's either psychic or she can talk to animals. It's a long story. No comment. I've been living in the library for a little bit. It's been great. Way more snacks. Way more creatures. Captain, sometimes there's too much creatures. Hold up, what kind of haunting are we talking about here? Unexplained noises? Objects appearing in strange and unfamiliar places? Oscar, don't get your hopes up like that. Nothing like that, sorry. The floor in Rosalind's bedroom just keeps seeping blood, and I've seen strange figure in the hallway a couple of times. Wait, you've seen full body apparition? Can I see it? Stella, how many times have I gone on ghost hunts and been tricked by shadows? You know what it's going to be. But what if it's an actual ghost? worth looking into, especially because we're looking for cryptids. You are more than welcome to check it out. Maybe tomorrow night? Yes, we'd be there. We'll be there. Yeah, that sounds like a fun way to spend an evening. Can't wait to get spooked by some creaky floorboards. Now let's leave the kitty alone. Not too many questions. The cat crawls up on the table, falls asleep. Alright, I better get back to shelving. Let me know if you all need anything. Stella, what were you saying about nuclear incidents? You were talking about the Goldsboro thing, right? Yeah, apparently in the 60s, a B-52 carrying a live warhead broke up mid-air and dropped a couple of bombs. Fascinating bit of history there. The first of the two bombs landed upright off this parachute got caught in the tree. Thankfully it didn't go off. And at the time the government claimed that the bomb was unarmed. It later came out that the only thing that prevented the detonation was a single electrical switch which failed to trigger on the descent. And 60 years later the second bomb still hasn't been recovered. Right? It's conventional explosive disintegrated in mid-air, but most of the nuclear material was made unrecoverable by flooding. If I remember correctly, they just buried it and sealed it up. I'm sorry, did you say that they buried it? You'll need something dug up, because if so, I'm your gal. Bomb is somewhere else. Why would there be so many ditchlings here? Yeah, Goldsboro is almost 400 miles from here. Not that we should be looking too hard at the disaster angle. Whatever those creatures are, they're biological. Look, you never know with radiation. We actually know quite a bit. It just melts you in and doesn't make monsters, and a 60-year-old bomb isn't going to explode on its own hundreds of miles away and kill us here. You never know. There could always be a whole underground society of bomb-worshipping mutants waiting to blow it. I've missed this. So, a pollution for monsters. I've never heard of the ginseng babies before this. Oh yeah, that myth is pretty buried. The author managed to unearth it for this book. Get it? Have you seen that ginseng roots look like the creepy stuff? Creepy but incapable of screaming. Yeah, that's one of those things that even I don't buy into. Do you think the ditchlings are Tommyknockers? What with the whole warning thing? Good thought, but Tommyknockers live in the mines. That's like their whole thing. I'm gonna write it down though. Tommyknockers are literally just the sounds that happen when a bunch of rocks and wood are about to collapse. Are they? Or are they the sound of mysterious creatures pounding on the rocks and supporting beams with hammers that cause a collapse? There's simply no way to know. Hopkinsville goblins were certainly small and travelled a pack. There's a lot of similarities to ditchlings there. Those are 100% confirmed aliens though. Unless the Hopkinsville goblins were just a couple of owls some drunk farmers saw at 3 AM. They're not aliens, and before you say no, ditchlings aren't aliens either. It doesn't matter if the goblins are actually aliens, it doesn't matter if the ditchlings are aliens. What matters is that the similarities between them. Alright, I can respect that, but even if the Hopkinsville goblins were ditchlings, there's not a whole lot to go on there, and that's a big if. Let's probably rule out the whole portent of doom thing. I'm already ruling that out. Why is the Jersey Devil even in this book? The Pine Barrens are specifically not in Appalachia. Because he's cool? The Jersey Devil's like the granddaddy of North American cryptids, and it's kinda close to the Appalachia. Back when I was a kid, I always wanted one as a pet. Stella, that beast would tear you to shreds. I'm all the pet you need. My mom used to tell me about the Taupo story back when I was a little. I can't believe I forgot that one. It scared me so bad I didn't eat soup for years. I thought a monster might try and dig it out of my stomach if I did. I love that one. There's this old chimney in the woods that I used to think was the chimney from Taupo, but the one with the left after the thing that did whatever it did. Now I know that's just because chimneys don't burn down and wooden houses do. That doesn't mean it's not the chimney from the Taupo. I've camped out there a couple of times and seen some pretty spooky stuff. Yeah, I watched that video. You saw raccoons. You're gonna get rabies one of these days chasing after wildlife like that. What can I say? I like to live on the edge. I wonder if there's any parallels between the Bell Witch and what is haunting Oscar's house. That's a thought. We can circle back on that tomorrow. Please, for my own sanity, let's stay focused on just one paranormal incident. Which is why we're circling back to it tomorrow. There's some striking similarities between Mothman and Ditchlings. Both of them are potent portents of doom. Mothman, love that guy. There's a whole subgenre of cryptids that serve as bad omens, but the disaster angle is definitely a clear connection. Maybe Mothman is what happens when a ditchling is all grown up. But they're already reproducing, and they don't have wings, and they're pale and blobby. They have certainly caterpillar vibe, don't they? Why am I even engaging with you on this? Portents of doom aren't real. Wampus cats kinda sound like they could be mountain lions. Voices like women crying out, somewhere between person size and cat size. Definitely, they're one. 100% mountain lions. Kanika, you know there are no mountain lions up here. I thought you were supposed to be a skeptic. Oh Stella, one of these days you'll trust us. But the myths are all old, right? Mountain lions didn't go extinct in Appalachians that long ago. Those legends just haven't died off yet. Almost every cryptid can be tracked down by either a hoax or someone getting confused about a perfectly normal animal. Sometimes both. Bigfoot, for instance, started out as a prank. Then folks saw bears walking around with their hind legs and got freaked out. And now here we are. You'll eat those words, Stella. You'll eat those words when I get the first clear footage of a Bigfoot. If you manage that, I'll print out a piece of paper and says Bigfoot isn't real and literally eat it. I promise. I'm holding you to it. Let's move on. What do you all think? Maybe we should go back to the mines. There was that collapse a while back and a lot of people died. Maybe the ditchlings are here to warn us about something like that happening again. Okay, good. And hopefully we can find out what happened to Wayne while we're at it. Alright, but let's try. But if we're going to do this, let's do our best to stay under the radar. I'm already in hot enough water with Tabitha as is. That sounds like a good idea. We'll be super sneaky, I promise. I can't even keep. I can even keep a lookout. Look at us going out on a caper together. I missed this. I missed it too. Though there is something missing. Reese. I really miss the dude. I can't believe how long it's been. Have you seen him lately? Nope, I've tried to plan stuff, but he's been too sick. I didn't realize it was getting so bad. That poor guy. You know, we could just pop over and surprise him. He seems excited to meet Kyron. Maybe we'll finally get him to leave his little cave. Hey, yeah, let's do that. See ya, Oscar. We'll let you know if we run into Rosalina. Thanks, guys. I'll keep you all posted. Reese's home stands at the edge of the forest wall, an isolated buffer cushioning the rest of the town from the unending wilderness. Well guys, I think I'm going to leave it here for now. We've had so much information, overwhelming information given to us through all the books and conversations in the library. I think it's just a good way to end going into meeting new characters and going on the journey further. Please like and subscribe, it helps me out so much. Thank you for watching, and then until next time, cheers.